Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Good Idea, Bad Idea, where today we'll be breaking down more of the good ideas surrounding COVID and some that are not so hot. I hope you all are staying safe out there. I was going to shoot this out in the park out there, and turns out people are not distancing at all. There's nothing Chicago loves more than a nice day, especially after a winter. And it is nice. It's gorgeous today after a kind of a cold week. So not not a great time to go outside and socially distance. Anyway, let's dive right into the first good idea. Help critical businesses create safety infrastructure. This will allow them to supply the things we all need while keeping workers out of harm's way. On the flip side, bad idea, invoke the Defense Production Act to keep plants open that are temporarily closed because of outbreaks. Trump did this for meat processing plants after quite a few workers died. If people are scared to come into work, you won't be able to run these plants anyway. I mean, we don't live in North Korea. We can't force people to come in. Good idea. Accelerate approval for promising treatments. The cost of delay is high enough that an ineffective treatment slipping through is a cost worth bearing. That being said, they have to be vetted for safety. We don't want to give a bunch of people a drug that's going to harm them worse than the disease. Bad idea. Promote half-baked ideas in a press conference. As evidenced by people actually ingesting bleach, what our leaders say matters. The bully pulpit should be used with a lot of care, and particularly now, much more focus should be placed on data than the musings of some orangutan. Good idea. Stepping back a second. No offense meant towards orangutans. They're great. Good idea. Scale back social distancing in an ordered way. What's the marginal difference of all retail being open versus just grocery stores? I guess we're going to find out. It's May 1st, which means that the Illinois stay-at-home orders are scaled back a little bit. You have to wear masks, but you can go and do some curbside pickup at your favorite retail stores. There are going to be spring swings, but it's better to play it safe when the result of a mistake will not cost just lives, but also it's going to be a lot more time that we have to spend in lockdown if it turns out we've swung open too quickly. And I'm afraid that brings us to the next bad idea, which is open everything in a WWE Royal Rumble style free-for-all like Georgia. Going back to what I just said, this could easily result in a massive second wave. And in this week's newsletter, I included a chart from The Economist here. The South, which is where a lot of places are reopening, is significantly at a significantly higher risk than the rest of the country, and that's because they have an older population, a less healthy population. The amount of people with diabetes is a lot higher. Just pre-existing health conditions in general are much more common. So it's not a terribly good idea to just go about it willy-nilly. It's an at-risk population. Anyway, moving on. Good idea. Participate in the democratic process and help shape your government. Our government can only represent you if they know what you want, and they only know your interests if you make sure your voice is heard. Sometimes, also known as all of the times, the metaphorical government skull is pretty thick, and getting through takes a little bit of persistence. Still, bad idea. Gathering in large groups to protest while the pandemic is peaking. Elected officials are doing their best. There's a flagging economy, they know that. There are a lot of people getting COVID, they know that, and they're doing their best to make sure that we can reopen as quickly as possible. And by gathering in a large protest, you're delaying that. This is something that people did here in Chicago just yesterday. There was a big protest in the Loop. I don't understand how people can think that's a good idea. Just make your voice heard in a more safe way. You're putting yourself and your family and your friends in danger. Good idea. Coordinate across geographic regions to minimize chances of large second waves and use federal resources to do a better job of gathering information. We just need to do a lot more testing. Bad idea. Make that federal aid contingent on unrelated things like immigration. This is the second time the Trump administration has linked federal aid to coronavirus to political favors. Good idea. Test as much as possible. And that's important, as about 20% of tests are coming back positive, which means that we're not testing enough people. We rank something like 22nd in tests per capita. 20% of tests coming back positive means that we're testing people with symptoms only, and we need to be testing everyone. That way we can trace it better. Bad idea. Quibble over the amount we pay per test. We're barely paying enough per test for the producers of the tests to break even on these things. And if we want more testing, and we do, we need to pay more for tests so that there's a little bit of a profit margin. If there's a profit margin, people are going to look to make these tests in larger quantities. And with more tests, we can get reopened sooner, which means that we're saving money in the long run, even though we have to pay a bit more upfront. Knowing who has it allows healthcare professionals to help reduce transmission by alerting people that they need to self-isolate. It's very important. Bonus bad idea. Scale back EPA regulations on the emission of dangerous chemicals in the midst of a pandemic. This has been accelerated over the past couple months under cover of Corona. Most recently, mercury emissions standards are being rolled back. This is a chemical that is particularly harmful to children and pregnant women, and it's devastating to brain development. This is potentially long-lasting repercussions. Anyway, have a great rest of your weekend, everyone, and I will talk to you again in a few weeks.